Hello there, Scott here, founder and CEO of Pillow Partners, and I'm bringing you a video today, the 8 things to expect as a holiday home or serviced accommodation operator. Now, the short-term rental market is totally different, the sector's different from being a buy-to-let landlord or the commercial space, so we want to be open and transparent of what to expect if you're coming into this sector. It is totally different. It takes a certain mindset, and not all people are suitable for being in the short-term rental space. We don't see it as property, we see it as hospitality. Why I want to share these 8 things to expect so that you can make it an informed decision, an informed choice, go in with your eyes open as to whether this is the right industry for you. So we will move on, and I'll just flick through the video and stop for some comments. So number 1 is guests will cancel their bookings. Please expect this at some point on your journey. Now, as a company, we are very focused on protecting your income and not cancelling bookings without any charges or cancellation fees where we can avoid it. But sometimes things will get cancelled and you will have gaps in the diary. People may book things for next summer. It's a big, juicy booking. Things change. Health things change. Family, job, career, COVID, lockdowns, whatever government nonsense they're putting out can affect your bookings. So don't get emotional about this. Please expect that bookings will get cancelled, a lot of them at short notice. And number 2, guests might leave your property a mess. And again, I say this one, please expect this to happen. It may not happen, but we don't want you coming into Pillow getting upset, emotional, shouting at the staff because a guest has left some stuff in a property. It is the industry that we're in that not all guests will treat the properties the way we would treat them. So over multiple guests, if you've got a guest during the week and a guest at the weekend, that's 100 guests a year. Over 5 years, that's 500 guests. There's a good chance they're not all going to be perfect. So please expect this to happen in your journey. Factor it into your business plans. But guests, more or less, will leave a property a mess. May not be a super mess, it just might be a mess in your mind. So factor that in and expect it. Number 3, guests will probably break things, so breakages will occur. And this sounds harsh, saying guests will break things, but if you operate a hotel or a restaurant, someone will drop a glass or a wine glass or smash a plate accidentally. These things will happen. So please expect some renewables, some breakages as you go through your journey. Might be over the space of a year you have to replace some crockery, some glasses. What we don't want, owners getting super agitated and upset about this. Please expect these things and have a small budget for replacements. Like any business, you're going to need to spend money to keep it looking as good as possible. But don't get upset, angry and frustrated. Guests do these things, we would do it. We've maybe dropped things in restaurants and cafes. Things will happen in your property. So number 4, no matter how amazing your property is, some people will give it bad reviews. This is just the nature of it. Sometimes owners will see 10 5-star reviews in a row and then a 2 or a 3-star. And again, there's giving our staff a hard time for that. But some instances, there's nothing we can do. Great example, someone gave us a 1-star review because they stood in dog dirt outside on the main street in the city centre of Glasgow. Nothing we could have done about it. Shouting at your property manager won't change that. There's nothing we can do. We can try and take it down, but some guests will just have super fussy ways of looking at things. So no matter how hard you try as a host, no matter how much money you spend on your property, some guests will just not look at things the way you look at it and maybe give it a bad review despite us doing everything perfectly for you. So number 5, guests may not always treat your property the way you could. So if you've got a long-term guest there, for example, they may not clean it the same way you would, they may not tidy the same way you would. We will be dealing with guests from all over the world, different cultures, all shapes and sizes, beliefs, sexes, pronouns, absolutely everything. And over the space of your journey, you will be dealing with people that won't look after it. Now, I've put this as a sad fact. Some people have different standards. but we want to just expect this. And again, if we look at it not as bad guests disrespecting your property, which gets us emotional and angry and upset, not good for our health, then we look at this as a business. Again, look at it as a hotel. Some guests will be from different cultures and look at things differently. They're just going to treat properties different to the way we would. And how we put our blood, sweat and tears into these properties as a partnership to make them look good and run well. Some people just don't appreciate that and just see things differently and treat properties not the way we would. Moving on to number 6. Guests may not be who they said they are. Now this is one that very rarely happens, but I will put it in here simply because there's only so much you and I can do to validate guests. Some people will book for their sister and their brother and those people aren't turning up, they're a different sex. Some people will commit fraud, very sophisticated fraud. So everyone that coming into your apartment or holiday cottage may not be the person that has booked. It's just the nature of it. When it comes to our property management team, we will try and validate this. We always try to make sure the person, the credit card's the person staying. There's only so much we can do before we start deterring guests and sabotaging your bookings. So guests sometimes do this. If they're trying to do it behind someone's back, they will, regardless of the checks and things we do. There's insurance and everything in place, but sometimes, not that often, this is one that doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes guests will be a little bit cheeky about who they are and tell some lies. So number 7, you will have gaps in your occupancy, and there's properties we take on that instantly get 100% occupancy for 3 years without any gaps. They are good ones to have, but don't be expecting instant 100% occupancy. You may have done a course, you may have had a mentor, you may think your property is amazing. It may take time to build up those bookings. So we want to be very clear with owners. It doesn't matter who's told you it'll have 100% occupancy, make you £1 billion overnight and you'll be driving your Lambo. We need to be clear that some properties have a little bit of time. It may be a season before they start making the most amount of money. Cancellations may happen, the market may be good, the market may be bad, things could happen with the economy. At the moment as we're recording this, there is a fuel crisis and bookings towards the end of last year went down. It may take a few months for them to go up, but you will have occupancy, and I need to let every owner know that. Think of a restaurant, you just open a restaurant and expect to have 100% covers in and make maximum profit from day one. It's going to take a little bit of time to build that business up. Some properties do get instant occupancy. If you hit it at the right time of year, for example, launch just before summer, you'll have great occupancy. If you're launching towards the end of the year where occupancy may be lower, so the seasons play a big part in this, but 100% don't be expecting massive occupancy because it's unrealistic to expect that instantly. If you've been in a course, if you saw a YouTube video or somebody's told you this, just be very, very cautious. When it comes to reality, there's a lot of factors at play. And moving on to number 8. You will get guests complaining about the most unbelievable things. They will be demanding things in the property. So some guests, you've got full crockery and cutlery and one would want a serving dish or something you've not got, a bigger pot to cook pasta in. When there's 4 little pots, they want a big pot. We are in hospitality, so we do want to service our guests, give them a good experience. So be aware that sometimes we're going to need to do things to get you a good review, to make sure that you don't get a bad review, to make the guests come back in the future, to make them not want a refund, to make them treat your property well for the rest of the stay. There are things that guests would want that are maybe unreasonable that we wouldn't want to get, but unlike being a landlord where the tenant puts everything in, sometimes buying the guests something like new pillows or something else that makes their stay enjoyable pays off in the long run. So we don't want to just have a property that we don't buy these things for guests, where we just let guests rot and say no all the time. Imagine going to a hotel reception and saying no, you're not getting an iron or an ironing board, or you're not getting something you wanted like a nice bucket. That's bad customer service, and guests will ask for these things. Sometimes we just need to do it, and it's in the best interest of your property. So here's 8 things. I've just made a very short comment on these. This video will be up somewhere, but there are things to expect. We don't, as I said at the start, I don't think the short-term rental market is right for everyone. So if these things have annoyed you, and you think, well, I don't want that to happen, and I want everything to run perfectly, I will tell you now, there's so many working parts in this, it won't run perfectly. Now, it's our job and your property manager's job to make it run as perfect as possible, but there's lots of working parts, and we want to be fully transparent, make sure everyone's aware that the market they're going into is going to have some certain characteristics that you might not expect. Thank you.